Hello and welcome to a review and overview of TrackIR, EDTracker and other various OpenTrack tracking options for Star Citizen. We're going to talk about what we can do with these trackers, how much they cost, how easy they are to set up and use for Star Citizen. But I'm sure that people might find this review useful for other games too, just knowing that these are kind of available to them because they work with anything where you can kind of mouse look around. This is much more of an overview and review of some of the methods rather than a guide, and I will link to guides and various other mediums that will help you through your chosen method if you want to try these out below. Full disclosure, I was given a TrackIR, I was loaned an ED or EDTracker, and viewer donations bought my Logitech C922 camera, and I bought a head tracking clippy thing from eBay for £7 or $10. So what are these? Star Citizen has re-enabled head tracking, allowing TrackIR, EDTracker, as well as various other forms of open trackers to use your head movements for reasons in-game, typically for extra immersion, visibility, looking around your cockpit, and aiming gimbals in some situations. Most of these are not going to be suitable for mouse users, as they share lots of functionalities with a mouse, and it would be counterintuitive and quite confusing using your head and mouse together, although not impossible. It is, however, useful for dual stick, HOTAS, gamepad, and other controller types. Head tracking is usable in Star Citizen 2.6.3 and should be getting better and better support each patch, with Star Citizen Alpha 3.0 coming out soon, and a lot of players using alternative controller devices from mouse and keyboard. Head tracking is going to become incredibly useful for some people. Each of these methods requires personal taste for tweaking, especially when it comes to setting up graphs and dead zones and all that sort of stuff. And they all give broadly similar results, but we're talking about precision and simplicity to set up here. With my reviews, I'm going to give the TLDR right at the start before moving on to the products in more detail. I recommend checking out OpenTrack's free methods first, whatever you're going to do. Mess around with them, see if you like head tracking, see if it's useful for your setup. If you do, then consider one of the other options for a bit more precision and accuracy. TrackIR is the best option, but it is by far the most expensive. The ED or EDTracker is awesome and great value, even cheaper if you make your own one with the DIY kind of circuit board stuff. And it also gives you a sense of achievement doing that. Value added. It depends kind of what you're going to use your tracking for, though. If it's just to look around your cockpit, then you're going to be able to get away possibly with OpenTrack. And if not that, then with a bit more power and a bit more extra immersion and options, then the EDTracker is going to be great for looking around your cockpit and giving you some extra visibility in a dogfight or whatever. The best option, if money is not a problem though, is the TrackIR with its TrackClip Pro. This is by far the best option if you want to aim with gimbals with head tracking. So if you want to actually fire your weapons, even while using a joystick, but also aiming with gimbals, the craziness, then that is definitely the best option to go for. OpenTrack is a free program that allows you various methods to head track for Star Citizen. With OpenTrack, you'll want to set the output after you've downloaded it to FreeTrack 2.0 Enhanced. That will allow Star Citizen to work out what's going on with it. And then you've got various input methods, and those input methods are the method that you will be using to track. So we're going to talk about some of them that are useful. Oruko, which is paper tracking. You literally print out something, and we'll talk about that in a second. Point Tracker, which tracks little LEDs or infrared reflectors, and mobile phone tracking. So the paper marker tracker, or Oruko, this requires you to have a webcam and a printer, then to print out what looks like a QR code on a square, and then that camera can track that if you set that to an input method. You can mount that on your head, literally with a bit of sellotape, or put it onto a hat. This is great because it's free, though it's not the most precise method. It will give you a taste of head tracking. Being close to your camera, printing that square out on a piece of A5 paper, or telling your printer it's A5 so it prints out smaller, and making the room not too dark and not too bright really helps. Use sticky tape to attach the actual QR code thing to your head or hat. Directly onto your forehead if you're hardcore, I suppose. But yeah, it gives you a taste of what head tracking is kind of has to offer. So there's Point Tracker as well. So Point Tracker is an input method that reads 3 LEDs or IR emitters. You require a camera capable of detecting infrared signals, so the PlayStation 3 camera is apparently very good for that, but my C920 Logitech or C922 cameras seemed very good for it as well. I picked up a cheap 3D printed clip from eBay, but you can get better ones that are built into hats too, or even the Track Clip Pro from TrackIR. That seems to work totally fine with it as well. I had to fiddle with the sensitivity of mine a lot in the options and lower light levels in my room to get it to track properly. It's pretty good, but it really bugs out sometimes. You can see that sometimes it just goes totally mad. Mobile phone tracking. So you can also use Android or Windows mobile phones as head trackers. You don't require a webcam for this method either. So you just download the Head Tracker app on Android, and then in OpenTrack in the input method, you switch it to FreePy UDP, and then start OpenTrack, start the app on your phone, and enter the PC's local IP that you're connecting to. And then tracking can be delayed or inaccurate because there's a little bit of a delay sending the signal. It is based on your phone network at home and all that sort of jazz as well. So for some people, it's going to be pretty good experience. Others, it's going to be too laggy and make you feel sick. Now, there is FaceTrack No IR as well. It's an alternative to OpenTrack that gives a load of the same features as OpenTrack, as well as apparently more. One of those features is Face API. This allows you to use your face on a webcam as the input method. It kind of works out where your features are on your face and then uses that to track. And with some tweaking, you can get quite good results. It's not as precise or as good as some of the more expensive methods, though. And it does cost money. It's like $3.50 or €2.85 if you want to purchase FaceTrack and try that face tracking. But definitely try OpenTrack first, because it's free. So let's talk about the TrackIR and EDTracker. The EDTracker can sit on the top or side of your headset and connects to your PC via USB. I've attached mine to my headset with a rubber band, but you can use tape or Velcro pads or other methods of attachment if you want. For Star Citizen, the EDTracker uses its own software and OpenTrack. So you install EDTracker, go through a quick configuration and calibration guide, set the pitch in yaw to 1, set the response mode to linear, set a key for reset view, and then run OpenTrack and select joystick as an input method. And then you want to go to the little option next to that joystick and set the EDTracker as that joystick input method. And again, as with all other OpenTrack stuff, you want to set the output to FreeTrack 2.0. Now, the EDTracker does come in two flavors. You can get a DIY kit, which literally requires you to have a soldering iron and you make it yourself, and you can get those as cheap as £15 to like $20-ish. Or you can go for the Pro version, which, if you hate faffing around and you want it to, it's going to work with the best components, and it's already in a nice enclosure, go for the Pro version. For me, I don't like hassle, so it's a much better option for me. The EDTracker gives very good precision for looking around and is pretty quick and easy to set up, especially when you have set your curves correctly as well. When you do your sensitivity curves correctly, possibly add a small dead zone, you can use it to aim gimbals-ish, but it's much better for looking around. TrackIR is the most precise and best out-of-the-box experience, but it's also expensive, between $150 and $170. You can grab the TrackIR for $150 with the standard track clip, which is like 3 little reflectors that you put on a headset or slip on a baseball cap, and there's also a $170 version, which comes with the Track Clip Pro, and that Track Clip Pro is available separately. It is, as I discussed earlier, 3 LEDs powered by USB for more precise tracking when used with the TrackIR or in OpenTrack with the point tracker. It feels like it's made of cheap plastic though, this particular track clip, which is unfortunate. It has a clasp for clamping to your headset. It uses its own software, its own TrackIR software, and with tweaking, it is the most precise and intuitive experience, but at $170, you would expect that. You literally put the TrackIR camera on top of your monitor, plug in the Clip Pro or wear the reflector, install the software, and you're pretty much ready to go. It's the easiest and simplest setup, and you will need to tweak your sensitivity curves as with all of these methods. Nubify has some pre-made profiles for different users, whether you're looking to aim it with your face, your actual gimbals being aimed, or if you're just looking to look around your cockpit. Now, I also found that you could pair this with a mouse if you want to form some form of unholy coupling. It was the only method that I could find that didn't make me feel sick while trying to use the mouse or super confused. But I messed around with it for a while and it seemed quite interesting. But for stick and gamepad users that want to actually aim gimbals with head tracking, TrackIR is really pretty good. There are some general things that through all these methods that you want to fiddle around with, so I talk about them very briefly. Curves, all methods will require you to fiddle around with the mapping and sensitivity of your curves for your own preference and setup. I start with just literally a linear progression, going straight up from the start. Nice and simple, and then tweak it from there. Dead zones, it can be worth setting up a small dead zone, especially if you're aiming gimbals with your face, just a little tiny one, because it's really hard to keep your head perfectly still, and a dead zone can really help with that. Also, common issues that you'll encounter is that pitch and yaw will be reversed or going to the wrong output, so you might have to invert them, you might have to work out what output is going where, so you go, oh, I need to change the output of pitch and yaw so it's going to the other one, or it's being outputted to X rather than Y, or whatever. So just be aware that that does happen. There are also some buttons and setup that are universal using head tracking. I like to disable roll on pretty much all the methods that I've used. I also set up a center camera button, something like hash or backslash or a button on the joystick. And if you get confused, center your face and then press that button. Additionally, you can adjust the curves in-game from the Star Citizen Controls option tab as well. There's also some buttons on the keyboard that you want to bind, like you can turn off look ahead mode with right alt and M in game. Also, you'll want to possibly use right alt and comma, which is interactive relative mode or mouse move mode. And also you can turn on and off gimbal lock with right alt and J. They're all very useful buttons, especially when using head tracking. So there are other trackers available, and I'm sure some people will bodge the Vive, Oculus, or other VR headsets, or their various VR controllers to work with Star Citizen as well. Previously, I kind of have too, though they don't work particularly well. Eventually, we'll have native VR support and probably native head tracking and native TrackIR support in a very, very good functionality. So expect it for VR support, expect it for Squadron 42 first before it goes into Star Citizen. There are other variants out there, head tracking wise, even eye trackers like the Toby, although the Toby doesn't work for Star Citizen yet. It is looking quite promising as a product. There are links to everything discussed below, including where to purchase the trackers from, where to how to find your local IP address, where to download OpenTrack, various guides, Noobify's videos on TrackIR and pre-made profiles for that. You can use head tracker stuff on foot as well, I suppose, if you wanted to, though I did find that quite disorientating. And the helmets, even when you're in your ship at the moment, can get in the way. Hopefully that will be fixed for Alpha 3.0. I am looking forward to that very much for Alpha 3.0. I do think that head tracking is going to be very useful to some people. Anyway, guys, I hope you found that was helpful in some way. Every month we give away a ship for the month of June. That is a freelancer DUR. All you need to do is be subscribed to the channel and then comment on any of my Star Citizen videos, including this one, throughout the month to be in for a chance for winning that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help me. And a massive thank you to my Patreons. You guys help me make the amount of content that I do. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon, check out the links below and you can do that. Honestly, guys, thank you so much. Take care, and I will see you in the verse.